Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another BestBall Roundtable. Got the guys here. We are talking U.S. Open. Got going around the horn, Jonathan Hill, Josh Decker, David Kirsch, and myself. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Jet lagged. Wonderful. I love it. Very nice. Well,
Wait a minute, hold on. Jet lag, it's the same time zone, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not the same time zone. It's Eastern, but no, and jet lag's not the fair term.
We are
Like,
Eastern, so.
Not getting home till 1 a.m. is not great.
traveled
Yes.
wearied.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Well, as we kick this off, many thanks to our friends at Summit Golf Brands, the Beach Ratty, Zero Restriction, Fairway and Green, those guys. If you want to get some of their awesome stuff, use BestBall20 in their checkout to get 20% discount. And many thanks to Western Birch. We talked about this last time. Josh Decker just dished out a couple thousand Western Birch golf tees at the RBC Canadian for his company. And it was a very quick and easy process, like we have talked about before. You can get your custom logo and colors you want, and they are very quick and timely. So use Best Ball in the checkout there and get you a little gift with your order. So guys, let's talk about the U.S. Open. Last year, Kirsch's favorite, Mr. Bryson DeChambeau, holed out an incredible shot on 18, or didn't hole it out, but performed an incredible long bunker on 18 at Pinehurst to get within an easier putt range to beat Rory. We all know the story there. And so, yeah, he is. I saw he dropped off the trophy, gave it one last kiss before as he handed it back in. But he is the reigning champion of the U.S. Open. So, any initial thoughts as we open up? They're going to Oakmont this year. I've got some stats. I'll read these here in a second, but maybe some opening thoughts.
I don't know if anybody caught it. Oh,
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I don't know if anybody caught it, but Bryson did go out and play. Like, there's a 45-minute where he went out and played the course. The rough is always difficult, but the lengths that they've gone through to make it the way it is, even down to they've redesigned mowers so that it sucks the grass up and it can be cut and be fresh, but also still be tall. I cannot wait. I think the over/under now is like how many people are going to be below par. Their goal is for the winner to be above par. So that I think, as always in the U.S. Open, it's going to be the topic of conversation. But as compared to last year, it was just sand everywhere. This year's going to be that grass where you're just like, if someone wasn't watching where that ball went on TV, no one would know. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Josh, what were you going to say, Josh?
On that point of the grass, so the normal rough at Oakmont is 2.5 inches tall. And I watched this fascinating video with the guy that works on the grounds crew there. They can't just let it grow out. So they let it grow a little bit and then cut it like 4 times at that new length, then let it grow again, because he was talking about how it just allows the grass to be more established. And I'm like, it's also borderline devilish what they're doing, but I mean, I want absolute chaos and carnage. I love seeing these guys kind of brought to their knees. But the thing I was going to mention is I was at the RBC all week. That was a birdie fest. And our newest Masters champion and owner of the Grand Slam was trunk slamming after shooting, I think he was 10 over after 2 days. So I'm fascinated to see how the guy who's 4th best in odds to win this week performs after not doing so great at a course that he should have absolutely obliterated.
Kirsch, what you think?
This is like, I'm so happy that it's Father's Day. You get to watch it with your kids, and that my kids are going to get to see Oakmont at the proper age, that you should get to see Oakmont do its thing. I think Oakmont should be our St. Andrews when it comes to the Open. I think it should be every 5 years, and then you could rotate in Pebble and Pinehurst every 10 and sprinkle everybody else in. But Oakmont should be an every 5 years thing. We go back there and everybody gets reminded and humbled a little bit. But it's that good of a golf course. It's a one of one from an architect. It's everything.
Yeah. Well, talking about Oakmont, let me give you some pre-championship notes. We do have virtual media access again, not on site Not this year, maybe next time we're at Oakmont, we'll be there. It is the most U.S. Opens hosted. This is going to be their 10th. They have also hosted, what else? A couple PGA championships, 3 PGA championships, U.S. Women's Open, and 6 U.S. amateurs. So in total major championships, it ranks up there behind St. Andrews, Prestwick, Muirfield, Royal St. George, and then Oakmont. Of most major championships held. But I agree with Kirsch. It should be one that is on a more permanent rotation. Like Jonathan was saying, it's going to be, and Decker, you kind of echoed too, how hard it's going to be. It said it played as a par 70 over the last two U.S. Opens in 2007 and 16. And during that time, only 4 players out of 312 have scored under par for the week. Dustin Johnson -4, Shane Lowry -1, Jim Furyk -1, Scott Piercy -1, all in 2016. And Angel Cabrera won it in 2007 with a cumulative score of +5. So good luck, guys.
So Angel Cabrera, did y'all see his driving average that year? He was pumping it like over 300, which back then, those were absolute bombs.
Yeah. When Dustin won, he made 11 birdies and no eagles throughout the entire 4 days. So it's not going to be the birdie fest, Josh.
Good. Well, and I saw Ben Griffin said that if he could end the day Sunday at 4 over, he'd be thrilled. Like 4 over, he thinks in his mind potentially wins the golf tournament, and that's I cannot wait.
He might. Well, Scottie's obviously a big favorite coming in. Bryson, like you said, Rory's up there. Who are some of the favorites you guys think? And do you pick, one of the top 4 or 5 guys, or do you take the field?
I think it's going to go ahead,
Man.
Kirsch.
No, I was trying to. I was gonna answer, and then I was like, Scotty's just so good. I mean, he's so. Yeah, I think I would lean Scotty. I think let me pick my 4. I would take whatever 4 I pick versus the field.
Whenever you think about temperament, I think Scotty, especially in a course that is clearly being designed to just mess with these guys, his temperament is going to allow him to just grind it out and be okay with a +1, with a +2. He's not, you think about Bryson, he's going to question everything. Gosh, that was a 1030 with my par 8, with my number 8 club. That should have gone 1-6. And Scheffler's just going to hit a ball and be like, okay, the next shot has to be made now. Rory could end up blaming something on somebody about why it didn't work. And then some of the other guys, I think you could end up with someone who's just oblivious to the fact. And the crazy part is, I haven't looked at the weather. What happens if someone just has a round where they shoot like 4 under? And all of a sudden they've got strokes to play with when it comes to what the next couple days look like. Because you got pros talking about +4 being the goal. If somebody shoots 3 under, that could be enough to let it hold on, right? But there's a reason why Vegas bets the way they bet, and right now it's Scotty versus the field for all the reasons.
Even if somebody shoots under par, when Cabrera won in 07, I think he had 2 rounds in the 60s and still won the tournament at +5.
Right, but that's how you win the tournament, because you grab some extra strokes on a day or 2.
Yeah.
What was it? I think I saw something. I don't know if this was real. It said that the greens were running at 16.
They're going to run at 15 flat, between 14.5 and 15 for the tournament.
That's just great.
Remember guests last October, they ran at 18.
It's like putting on a hardwood floor.
Right.
Like that's what's going to be fascinating to watch, especially with the rough, because as we all know, if you're hitting out of the rough, you can't control the spin on the golf ball. So, and it sounds, if they're running like a 16 or 15, you might have balls bouncing 10 feet in the air when they hit the green.
Speaking of rough, I don't know when else this is going to fit in, but you want to talk about the point being made of how disingenuous, phony, and fake your boy Big Bryson is in his little 45-minute video. Like 7 minutes in, he goes, "Look at the rough. Look at the rough, everybody, here at Oakmont, and he drops the ball. You know where he is? 130 yards off the tee box. He is 5 paces off of the strip that you walk through. He hasn't even gotten to the fairway yet. It's a place on the course that is purposely has heather grass because nobody hits it there. And he's acting like that's the rough. That is Bryson in a nutshell, and it's why he's not going to win this week.
Just so angry. Such an angry person.
Gosh.
We clearly saw it's a video. We know where he's dropping it.
Yeah, but he's get on there saying, look at the rough at Oakmont. And he's taking away the hard work that these guys are actually doing to make a proper test and create a real rough right off the fairway. I think Michael Kim said today that the rough at Memorial was actually longer than the rough at Oakmont this week. The only difference is that the rough is thicker here. But the rough
Yeah,
was actually longer
like
a couple of weeks ago.
how they cut it and they let it mature, which
Yeah.
was fascinating. And like I said, I cannot wait to see these guys just hack and hack and hack. I mean, you saw yesterday, Cam Young had a chance to chip up for a birdie putt to go to a playoff, and there were lots of guys that left it in the rough there at TPC Toronto. So yeah, this maybe it's warming them up for what will happen this week.
Well, the crazy thing about the rough is, right, you never know if you're going to chunk it like Cam did, or if you're going to catch a flyer. And if it's a short shot and you fly the green and all of a sudden you're back in rough on the other side, like that's where scores will add up quickly because you lose your control and hopefully you can at least find the ball. So the MVP of the week will be the marshals out there on the drive trying to find the golf balls, right? Because there's been, the tradition, like you get every year at the U.S. Open, the players or people are out there dropping a golf ball and be like, hey, look, you can't see it from the side. Like, you got to be right on top of it. And we get it, right? It's tough. But that's going to be the challenge because we've all played, Jonathan, you and I play where it's like, you know what, here's a spectator ball. Where
ball.
It should be. They can't really do that. They have to find their golf ball.
But they have spectators, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, but even then, though, like how often does somebody in situations like this, you hit it somewhere, cameras are everywhere, and they still can't find a golf ball?
Well, the interesting thing, too, is you can't bomb and gouge this course like you did at Wingfoot, right? Wingfoot, those guys, they found out the formula was just hit it as far as you can, but everything in front of those greens was straight. And you could land it up front, you could roll it on. If you watch any of the flyovers that any number of people have had from their drones in the last couple of weeks posted, there are a bunker cuts in or the fairway turns left really sharp and all of a sudden you come into the green at 4 o'clock instead of straight down the middle. So you're not going to be able to you're going to have to miss it on the right side if you want to have a chance. You're going to have to play to more of those angles. It's truly one where the course is going to dictate the play.
Yeah.
Not to go down memory lane, but like that 2020 U.S. Open at Wingfoot, that final pairing was Matthew Wolff and Bryson DeChambeau. And Matthew Wolff has effectively ceased to exist once he went to live. That's one of the things I'm curious about this week. I know obviously Bryson won last year. With this being such a tough test and such a grind, I'm curious to see how the live boys do because this isn't the PGA Championship where it's kind of a hit and giggle. I mean, this is no joke. Like, this is going to be an absolute battle just against the golf course and just to maintain your own sanity if you hit a bad shot.
Yeah, and that's where, like Jonathan said, Scottie might be the best suited for all that. How to handle, I'm in this rough again. Like, all right, let's play the smart thing and do it, right? So we'll see. We will see. So early favorites, who knows if they'll last. It's a long course, right? 7,300 yards is where they're going to tip it out to. And I think one of the things I like about the U.S. Open, and we talked about, some of maybe the reasons we don't like the PGA as much, and Kirsch mentioned, I think the 20, teaching pros that are there that, in some opinions may or may not should be there. But this, it's open to anybody, amateur, professional golfer with a handicap index of 0.4 or below. So, Jonathan, our course corrections, we need to really get it in gear if we want to try to qualify. But you go through a couple different rounds, couple different qualifiers, and then you get to the longest day in golf, that 36-hole gauntlet that you have to run in few different locations to be able to qualify for these things. there are a number of people that did not make it, right? That are somewhat big names, familiar names that did not make it. And then we got guys that are dentists, right? That grew up playing Oakmont that has qualified and will be in this event. So, what do you guys think about just the structure of the opportunity for anybody to get in the U.S. Open?
Well, I think it's the dream, right, that we all have that maybe someday we'll have enough time and we'll dedicate and we'll get out there and we'll have our tin cup moment or something like that. But the reality is, like you say, just a dentist. They're really good golfers. Like I've played Bradley Funderburg, a friend of ours, friend on the show. He's been on the round table before. He's tried to make that qualifier and he's made it to like the second level. And he's a really good golfer. And then he still doesn't even come close, right? So, I was just Googling. I think the last guy is Austin Truslow. I have no idea who he is, but he's at plus $500,000 for DraftKings. And yet he's on the course. Like he's somehow there. And yet DraftKings is like, if you bet $100, we'll give you $500,000 if this guy wins. And so, like listen, you put him out there on a course with us on a Saturday and he's going to make us look silly. So, I think it's fun, maybe I think part of it is for the story aspect. You hope that there's somebody every day that's the amateur that sort of makes a little noise and gets in a grouping that looks like it could be interesting. But the reality is at some point, I mean, we're questioning live golfers who, by the way, are still professional golfers, even if they're not on a professional tour. They're still not bad golfers. They're still really good. And we're like, oh, we don't even know if they can handle the grind of this. So, yeah.
0.6% is how many people qualify. This year, 10,200 people put their name in the hat to qualify. And it was 0.6% made the U.S. Open field. Like that's what you can, right? Like, so you're telling me there's a chance.
There's a chance.
And, it's you're playing against other pros. You're not, it's just amazing. I still think it's awesome. And it's all around the world. Brazil has one, Japan has one, Europe has 2 or 3, I think, where it's an open qualifier for the US Open.
Yeah. You and Josh probably have a way better chance of getting to that 0.4. You might already be there or better. And come on.
I'm a middle midget.
Come on.
Josh has got 0.7. If it were 0.7%, then he'd be in. But it's the 0.6 that does it.
Yep. Oh man. Well, Kirsch, you mentioned that you think Oakmont should be on a permanent rotation. I agree as well. What other courses, like, if you guys could pick, I don't know, 5 courses? Like, what if the U.S. Open, USGA said, all right, we're going to pick 5 courses to rotate for the U.S. Open? Is that enough? Too many? Maybe we agree that Oakmont and Pinehurst are on there. Like
Wingfoot, for sure.
Okay.
Pebble, for sure.
I was going to say Pebble.
But does Pebble get into the same argument that we had with Quail Hollow and the PGA, that we see it every year?
Yeah, but if you're going to pick 5, you could also just make an adjustment. You could put Kirsch in charge of it, and he'd figure out how to make it.
Do you get rid of the old Bob Hope at Pebble?
Pro-Am is rarely worth watching. I mean, I don't want to watch Larry the Cable Guy play golf. And those end up being like 6 and 7 hour rounds. The coolest thing last time Pebble hosted was all of the drone footage and everything they were able to do from out over the water. It was breathtaking. But yeah, Wingfoot, Pinehurst was a fantastic venue. Oakmont, Oak Hill was a great venue when they hosted however many years ago that was.
Kirsch,
that was PGA though.
Is that a PGA? Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the magic number, Kirsch? How many golf courses?
I mean, it's probably 7, I would think.
You put Chambers back in there?
I'll say Chambers.
Yeah, I would put Chambers in there ahead of Pebble, to be honest with you.
I think I would too.
I think that Pebble is $100 for the golf and $600 for the view. I think that there's a handful of courses along that coastline that are
I was just
better
about to say,
golf courses
it's got to be a course for
than
$100
that.
down the road that I could go play.
But yeah, I would say Chambers. I think it's going to be really interesting at the President's Cup to see how the new version of Medina #3, because I think you do need an anchor in the Midwest somewhere. You could talk me into Aaron Hills. I mean, the women, the way that they
I had
played
Aaron
it,
Hills there. Yeah.
I thought that they could do some different things with Aaron Hills, um, to make it play well for the men as well.
So
I think Texas gets enough run. I don't think that there's anything down in Texas. I I struggle with Winged Foot because I think I don't know. I would rather have Marion, I think, than Winged Foot. Um, but I understand why Winged Foot. You can almost put those two on a split rotation, and they could host it each every 14 years. Um, and that way you don't get too bogged down just in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Air
I,
Force was great in 2017. The only downside to it is it's not close to anything. I mean, so getting there was a chore. But it was, I mean, it was a fun property to watch and walk and just experience. I mean, I've got some pictures. I actually had a friend who was looping at the time for a guy playing in it. And I went and stood in the rough greenside, and like you could see it, like it's like almost up to my waist. I mean, if you hit it into that, you were dead. But yeah, and the women, that was a great tournament. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Texas, Kirsch, because there isn't. I mean, we have the Colonial. What else do we have in Texas? Where I guess PJ Frisco is about to start hosting the PGA Championship. But other than that, is there anything else?
Not
yep.
that's that championship worthy. No.
But you also think, like, in June, right? Like, pretty much everything in the South besides Pinehurst. Pinehurst, you'll deal with it because it's Pinehurst. But everything else is going to be blazing hot. So I had Pinehurst, Oakmont, Erin Hills, Marion, and Chambers Bay. I thought those five, if you had to pick five, that for me at least spread it out a little bit. Again, I don't know. It could be a lot of different places. I'd be fine going up to 7, maybe 10, and having a couple that were on a more frequent rotation.
Yeah. And even if you did something with like a Medina and a Aaron Hills where they would alternate so that it would be spread out a little bit, a Winged Foot and a Marion get spread out a little bit, and then and yeah. But I think it's funny though that Pebble wasn't an automatic lock because everybody talks about it so lovingly, and it's just like, it's all right.
I'd love to go play it. I'm not going to pay $700-800 to go play it though.
Would you throw Kiowa in the mix potentially?
What's that?
Would Kiowa fit at all? I mean, I know it's a PGA course, but
I was gonna say I think it's established itself almost too much as a PGA venue, but I do think the PGA should live there. I think that should be an anchor site for the PGA.
I'd like to see him put a Ryder Cup back there.
God, that'd be so good.
Yeah.
But we're going back to Hazeltine again and again and again and again.
Yeah. I mean, the course argument, there's a number of courses that could probably pull something off. And, logistics-wise, I think it makes it tough for some of these places. But let's just start with the golf, right? What's going to give the best golf, the best opportunity for the best players to show out? I don't know. Or what would be the most fun? What would be the most fun for spectators? I mean, I'm thinking Aaron Hills is fun.
Mm-hmm.
The fun for spectators, though, usually ends up with good scoring. And this, like, I always feel like, I think Kershaw talked about the questions that different majors ask. And, I mean, I didn't know much about golf for a long time. Still probably don't know enough. But the one thing you know about the Open is it's hard. And anybody that's near or around par at the end, and there's not another tournament that you think 0 + 1 gets you the win. If you think the Masters is not easy to play, but you assume everyone's going to end up somewhere around 10-ish, 10 to 15, right, at the end of 4 days. But this is like you literally go, okay, who's going to blow up? Who's going to just be par? Who's going to 4 or 5 over? That's got to be a hard golf course. So that's my thing.
So here's the rotation that's coming up. Obviously, this year at Oakmont, next year Shinnecock, then Pebble, then Winged Foot, then back to #2, Marion, Riviera, Pebble, Oakmont. That's the next 10 years, 8 years.
I'm embarrassed that I didn't think about Riv. 'Cause
I just think
that's-
of it as a tour course, and it's going to host the Olympics.
Yeah.
maybe if the Olympics still go to LA.
That's true. That's true. Well, I think, Jonathan, you were talking about, like, the Masters is the Masters, right? It stands on its own. The U.S. Open, you think about, it's penalizing. There'll be high scores. You know, we watch the British or the Open Championship for the elements, right? How do people play in the wind, in the rain, in the large fescue, all that stuff? And then you got the PGA, right? Like, but so the U.S. Open, like, how hard can they make it? How, not tricked up, but like, Pinehurst, we watched it, and there's runoff on the Donald Ross greens into hard pan, waste bunkers and stuff. Here at Marion, we're talking about, or Oakmont, we're talking about, 5-inch rough that's going to just eat balls alive, and people are going to be hacking out farther down into the rough. Like, and that's going to be just fun to watch. So we kind of watch because it makes us think that these guys are almost more like the regular golfers than they actually are, but they're not. Like, so I guess the question that kind of leads to my next question: what would you guys shoot at Marion?
Oakmont.
Or at Oakmont?
Oakmont, sorry.
On the front nine? Or the
Yeah, I'm
way?
going to say, how many holes are we talking about? Here we go. Let's pose it that way. How many holes would it get before you got to par?
Before you got to par?
Yeah.
How far
Are we
under
saying?
are we starting?
Are we saying like? Are we playing normal for us distances, or are we playing championship distances?
No, let's play the distance they're going to play.
All right. So
Not par. Like, let's.
no, you got to.
No,
You're talking
par
about
would
how
be
hard
90
it is.
at that point.
No, what I'm saying is, let's go
He's
like
saying, how holes would it take to get 72?
right. But how many
Okay,
holes
got
when
it.
I get to 72? I'm gonna guess. I'd love if I could get to 9. Like that would be a good day, I think, because
I was 12.
12. Yeah, you're a better golfer. I'd be looking at this going, if I just hit 9-iron over and over again. Although Bryson did point out that there's
No,
rough.
you have to play. You can't just 9-iron it, 9-iron it, 9-iron it. You have to,
That's my golf game at that point. Like that's the safest play for the entire thing. I might start putting from 100 yards out just to let it roll up there. Like those are real things. I think 9 holes. I mean, I think a 140 isn't out of reach. If it's rolling that fast and you have to avoid any sense of rough in order to make anything happen.
well, so I was lucky enough to play Wingfoot a handful of times, and the rough, even non-U.S. Open conditions, my caddy, I went to grab like a 6-iron out of my bag after I missed off the fairway. And he goes, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "I'm about to hit this 6-iron to the green." He goes, "No, you're not." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to hit a 6-iron." He goes, "There's not a chance you're going to get that club through this rough and onto that golf ball." And I said, "Okay." I said, "So what should I hit?" He said, "You need to grab pitching wedge, and you need to chip it out about 30 yards that way. Then you can hit maybe a 7-iron into that green." And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." So I did that. I took his advice, and then he said, "Now let's drop another golf ball, and I want you to hit that 6-iron." I mean, it didn't go anywhere. And so, and that was not even in U.S. Open conditions. So, I mean, yeah, it would be maybe 12 holes before I got to 72 shots. Kirsch was doing some serious math over there. I saw you were like totaling it up.
Hole number 1.
I was. I think through 14.
Yeah.
That would be. Yeah, I would say through 14.
At that point, you might break 90.
Yeah, because I would think that 90's par. I think that bogey golf is what you'd be looking for there. I think you're going to sneak out a few pars. I think you're going to make a few doubles, but you're not like our goal is not to go out there and make a birdie. Our goal is to survive the hole. So yeah, I'm not going to try to advance the 7-iron into the front bunker. I'm just going to hit pitching wedge out, and then I'll hit a pitching wedge on the green, and that green is more receptive if I'm hitting a pitching wedge on 2-putt, take my bogey, and get the hell out of there.
That's a lot of confidence, Kirsch.
My goal is to find my golf.
Yeah.
Right.
Bring extra golf balls. Yep. I'm probably in that 12-hole range with you, Josh. So, yeah, we'll see. All right, Kirsch. I hope you have something prepared. I didn't ask if you were going to do this ahead of time, but you got a 60-second rant here.
We have a monologue from Kirsch.
Well, I blew some of it. I
Soliloquy.
got so excited about Bryson's content there.
Let's go.
Um, I do think that there will not be a live golfer in the top 10. I think this is going to be our first major without a live golfer in the top 10. Nobody cares about this besides me. They just came off playing what some in live would say, according to their social media and some of their interviews, the best course in North America, the Robert Trent Jones course down there in Virginia this past weekend, which is just great, great prep as their one and only event between the PGA and the US Open to get these guys all locked in and fired up and firing on all cylinders. But there's not going to be anybody there because there is going to be the best opportunity for somebody outside the top 40 in the world to shock us this week. We talked last time about there not being that person in a very, very long time. I think that this is with that kind of time that I have extra, we went back and we watched the 2016 US Open, and you had guys like Scott Piercy. You had a bunch of people that were not in that top 10 class at the time in the top 10 on the weekend. Shane Lowry was not a top 10 guy then. There was another guy, his name just left me, he had started in the lead. He had a bunker shot 15 feet right of the pin, and it missed the green 20 yards left. That's how much slope and how fast it was when it didn't catch. I just think that there's going to be a leaderboard that is just full of mix this week, and that Rory McIlroy will be watching from Florida.
He doesn't
Interesting.
make the cut.
Doesn't make the cut.
Well, I
Interesting.
mean, Josh has got the inside route after he didn't make the cut in Canada. Do you think he got in at 1:30 a.m. or did they let the lounge access stay a little bit later for Rory at the airport?
Yeah, he probably got home a lot faster than. So what's
He was-
interesting, Kirsch, about you talking about outside the top 40, a name that would be electric come Sunday if he's in contention, who is currently number 47 in the OWGR, is one Jordan Speed.
That would be that'd be quite the storyline.
Another storyline
Yeah.
I love is the potential, if Scottie does do what we think he's going to do, he will have 3 of the 4 legs of the Grand Slam.
The completion of the Grand Slam is still in play. I would point out. Jonathan's buddy Phil Mickelson. Could,
Phil, I don't know if you guys saw the highlights. He had an amazing chip shot that
I'm
rolled
sorry,
right
who are you
into.
talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Old lefty.
oh, I love it. Yep.
There's some names, when you get past the 40th in the WGR, Kirsch, to your point, I mean, he crapped the best.
Ben on.
Cam Young has the length.
Cam Young's going to put it all together at some point. Davis Thompson, David, there's Cam Davis. I think he's another one that's been playing awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that there's going to be somebody or 2 or 3 from outside of that, and technically John Rahm is 77th, just in case. Joaquin Neiman's 79th, so just in case, they're technically outside. I just don't see how they're going to have the week that they need to have. But it's going to be a much more jumbled up leaderboard. The question is going to be, is it like the PGA where after Thursday you're saying, oh, that's cute, that person's 6 under, oh, they're 5, what's Scottie? Oh, he's at 2, all right, so the lead is at 2. Is it going to be like that?
Yeah. Do you think we're in red numbers on Thursday?
Yes.
There's a bunch of rain, right? Didn't it rain in up there today, or like pouring rain today up there?
I had a friend there today. Today looked better than yesterday by the pictures that he was sending over.
Okay.
It looks like it's getting rain right now a little bit, but then it's supposed to be nice for the rest of the week until Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's 156 players in the field. Thursday, Friday are going to be set up in a way that they can get 156 players through the golf course.
Yeah.
It's not going to be overly tough. And I think if you go back to the 2016, one of the rounds um, that they shot was a 69 in that round. I think under par in the first round is something that's just going to happen.
Okay. I like it. All right. Well, while we're talking long shots, let's go ahead and throw out who, if we had to pick a long shot to win this thing, who would we pick? Mr. Decker, I want to start with you.
Can Jordan Spieth be a long shot, even though he already has one of these trophies in his case?
If you want to describe him as a long shot, let's do it.
This is such a tough test. It's not a tournament like David talks about how there's questions that get asked from certain majors. And this one's more of just like, who's the baddest dude in the room? And there's only a handful of guys that can do it. So I think he's got the mental fortitude to do it. We'll see if the game's coming around. But yeah, that would make my Sunday quite enjoyable to see him coming down the stretch with a lead.
Yeah. DraftKings has him at a plus 7,000 to win. So probably in the top 20-ish. Yeah.
Save your money.
I mean, when Scottie's at a plus 275. So.
Goodness.
Yep. Kirsch is your long shot.
I think it's Ben On. I like his game. I think he just gets it into the hole and is capital G golfer. So Ben On would be who I'd be looking at.
Okay. Jonathan, who you got?
I just had his name. Where'd he go? Justin.
Max Grace.
That was not his name. Justin Rose. I just looked up. The average age of a U.S. Open is 32 years old, oldest being 46. But the reality is there's a seasoned veteran that has to understand how to play a course this hard over a course of a number of days. And we obviously know that he's played really good golf already this year. So I don't think the moment or anything like that would be too big for him. The question would be, is it too long? Like, as far back, is there going to be issues there? Just by the extra 20 yards you don't get. But the reality is those 20 yards don't matter if you're 5 yards to the left. So someone like him that can be measured and sort of the elder statesman, if you will, from a long shot perspective.
I like that. I like Jay Rose. The only problem is Scottie Scheffler's been 32 for the last 32 years.
That's true.
That's true. Well, somebody mentioned Ben Griffin earlier, and I'm going with his partner from the Zurich. I'm going Andrew Novak as my dark horse long shot for the week. He's plus a lot, plus 17,000 on the list. He's a Wofford guy, so he's from South Carolina. So I want Andrew Novak to have a good week there. I think that'd be fun to watch. All right, should we even open it up to who do we think is going to win and what will be the winning score? Jonathan,
I mean, I don't know. It's Scheffler versus the field, and I mean, we say this often, but he really is that good. I don't know how you go against it. I think the course management will make sure it's not a score below par. Like Kerr said, even if the first 2 days get you somewhere, once they narrow down the field, they are going to pull out all the tricks and do all the things. I mean, if they're willing for their member guests to be at 18, that first of all, don't invite me back because as a guest, like, what are you doing to me? That's miserable. But plus 3, I think, is the winner.
all right, Kirsch.
According to, I think Data Golf put it out on last week before the RBC, Scottie Scheffler's best is the best we've ever seen. It's quite literally peaked ahead of Tiger's best back in 2000. So, which is something you never thought you would say. So I do think that this is Scottie. I think this was Scottie pre Quail Hollow. I feel like this was Scottie pre Kapalua. I think it was pre-Ravioli incident. I think that this has been Scottie's tournament since it got put on the calendar. I think he wins. I think he's the only person under par at the end of the week. I think he shoots 2 under, and the next closest to him is +2.
I like it.
Do you
I
think
like
he
it.
runs sides?
I think it's because it's Oakmont. It'll always be kind of close, but I think he's going to be at like 1, and I think somebody's going to be at +1, and I think he's going to birdie 17, the drivable par 4. I think that somebody else is going to make a mess on the last 2 or 3 holes, and I think that's when he separates. And it's going to be
Oh,
one of
really?
those things where it's like
Yeah.
him just out, like, I'm just going to fairway and green you to death. I'm going to make a bogey. Yep, I'm going to come back and make a birdie. Nobody has a better bounce back percentage than him,
That's right.
and nobody's going to need that more than the winner of this golf tournament.
One of these days,
Like-
Kershaw's going to be right too, because he makes these things every single time, and some
Pick
days
Rory.
he's good. Well, some days he's going to pull off like the actual 17th hole, and we're going to be like, all right, he's Biff. He's got a book somewhere from Back to the Future.
Josh, what you got?
I'm gonna go Ludwig Oberg.
Okay.
Robbie's favorite.
I think he has the same kind of stoic, just not gonna let himself get overwhelmed by the circumstances, whatever they may be, whatever may happen. So I'm gonna go Ludwig, and I'm gonna say he's at 2 under.
Okay. All right. Well, I like Mr. Kirsch and Mr. Hill. I'm going with Scottie. I think Jonathan hit the nail on the head earlier. It's the demeanor, his how do I respond when things don't go well, when I miss the fairway and get it and stuff. And then, like Kirsch says, I'm going to bore you to death with playing smart. I'm going to aim at the center of every green. I'm going to aim at the center of every fairway. And I am just going to play the most boring. I'm going with even par. I think he shoots exactly even par. And he walks off that thing with at least a 2 or 3 shot win at this tournament here. So,
What's more surprising? If a playoff or Scottie winning by 6 or more?
Playoff.
Like, what if he goes full Tiger 2000? He's got the major this year. He's already got 3 wins. What if he picks this one off? He gets 3/4 of the way to the Grand Slam, and he does it in style points.
So that's what's fascinating about what you're talking about with the data golf info is that he's not even playing like what we think is his maximum potential. Like there's still, I think, a lot left in the tank that if he needed to find an additional gear, he could. And if that happens, then the scenario you just laid out, we get to witness this weekend, and that would be so fun. Like to see somebody of his caliber and the human being that we think he is, just be able to go scorched earth on what is being sold as one of the toughest tests ever in U.S. Open history, and he goes out and just blitzkriegs the field. That would be really, really cool.
That'd make for a good Father's Day. That'd be a good afternoon.
Could happen.
It's in play.
It is in play. It is in play. No, it would be interesting to see.
Are you guys in or out on the 300-yard par 3?
For real people or for golfers, like professionals?
I could not be more in.
I'm the same way. I love it. I absolutely love it. Makes
So-
it like there's a video today of Colin Morikawa, and he's like, I think I got to hit driver.
If I had,
Which is what, if it was a par, it's just because of the stupid number of par.
right,
If it was a 300-yard hole, it'd be the coolest short par 4. Instead, it's a really long par 3. You know what? Everyone's got to go play the hole. Everybody who whines about that hole has already lost the U.S. Open.
Yep.
They all
Yep.
stink.
if Robbie and I hadn't been at the Open last year on number 3, I think it was, which was a 320-yard par 4, and they were literally hitting shaped shots onto the green, or like I think in Scotty's case, he aimed for the bunker, so that way he'd have if I hadn't seen that in real life, I would be like, there's no way in the world that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because most time we're at a driving range and we're just trying to get to like the 225 marker with our driver, right? But watching these guys hit the shots that they hit for the par 4, Why not? And Bryson's 9-iron goes at least that far now, I think. So this is going to be even better.
And your 9 to 5 does as well. So
My Dolly Parton is pretty close to being able to make that a par 5.
oh man. Well, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun tournament to watch. We'll be following along through the virtual media hub that we have through the U.S. Open, so we appreciate that. And I'm sure the text thread, maybe we'll just have a reading of the text thread for our recap show on Sunday evening. That might be a good idea. But a lot of fun. Happy early Father's Day to everybody out there. But guys, it's fun as always. Jonathan and I were just talking on a different episode of the Whole Story podcast how this is one of our favorite things to do, to sit around with you guys. And at some point, hopefully in the near future, we can do this in person and just sit around the table and chat. And maybe we need to do it at Sweetens Cove, Josh.
I would love that. That would be fantastic.
That would be great. That would be great. And parting shot, Xander top 10 lock.
Nice. All right.
Here's a gambling problem.
Yeah, DraftKings. Everybody roll up in North Carolina and throw some money down. All right. Well, guys, been a lot of fun. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the recap show. If anybody out there is actually watching or listening to this thing, hope you guys learned something, hopefully from Josh or Kirsch, not from Jonathan or myself. But we will see you guys on the recap show. Have fun watching the U.S. Open. It's been another Best Ball Roundtable.